Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to our Wednesday tea and toast. All a bit different again today. We're all working from home today. We've been back in the yard now for the past couple of weeks, so you've seen us doing our tea and toast from there. But due to a number of reasons, and actually, I think it's probably a good job we are because we're having some internet issues at the yard because our lovely Laurel is in the building today and supposed to be joining us on this tea and toast. And she can't get on. We're having real internet gremlins, aren't we, ladies?
Yeah,
So,
I think Laura's probably sat there doing the internet, the technology gremlins dance. She's probably trying to banish the gremlins away.
So if you see Laurel keep popping in and out, that's the reason why, with a few technical issues. But Georgia, Beth and myself, we're all at home and keeping our fingers crossed that our internet plays ball for this tea and toast session this morning. So morning, lovely ladies. How are you today?
Good, thank you. How are you, Jasmin?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Georgia?
Yeah, I'm doing very well. I feel very, very sunny and fresh today. I feel like even though the weather outside is like quite harsh and windy and a little bit cold, I feel like inside, in my soul, in my heart, I feel like I'm bright sunshine.
Do you? Wow.
Yeah, always.
What a Wednesday feeling. That sounds amazing. How are you feeling today, Beth? Are you like, is your soul feeling good today?
Yeah, I feel I've got that midweek feeling.
Wednesday-ish. It's weird because our tea and toast sessions obviously start on a Wednesday. We do Wednesdays and Thursdays. So by the time we do our first Wednesday tea and toast, we're all a bit, like you say, midweekish, a little bit. I'm tired today. I was just saying to the girls before we come on, I feel exhausted. I don't know why. I haven't done anything extraordinary to make myself feel so tired. I do wonder if it's being back into sort of a routine of going into work and, whereas before all this working from home, I do think it sort of does make you feel more tired having to go back to a bit of normality. But how lush has the weather been, apart from today, obviously? Oh,
yeah, apart from today. I mean, over the weekend, it was so nice, wasn't it? Yeah. And I think all of us were like out and about. I went to Sywell Country Park and I was like hanging out, as I do on the jetty that they've got going on. Because I didn't know this, guys. Did you know?
I thought that was at You said that was at Delapre to me.
No, it's at Sywell.
Oh, this is why yesterday you told me Delapre, and I was thinking, trying to work out where this jetty was. I'm thinking, I don't know where she means. But anyway, so it's Sywell.
Sywell. Yeah, it's at Sywell, and they've got this kind of like pier going up into the lake, and they've got like a ladder going down, and we were talking like, what's the ladder for? And then my dad was like, oh, it's for the boats. And I was like, what boats? So what are you talking about? And then we discovered that actually people have been having swimming lessons in the lake, in the reservoir.
That must be cold.
Freezing.
Yeah. But there's a thing, it's a thing, isn't it? Like cold water swimming, people like are into that stuff, aren't they? I mean, personally, I couldn't think of anything worse. But it is supposed to be really like revitalizing and make you feel amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, the weather, honestly, it was so lovely at the weekend. It made me, everyone I spoke to felt happy because again, we could all, we went to the pub in the afternoon and sat in the garden, which was just lovely. The sun was shining, everyone just felt happy. It felt like a real chunk of normality sort of resumed at the weekend, I think. And even like, today's not great, but yesterday, Monday, again, so lovely. I honestly am one of them people that if I wake up and the weather's nice outside, it really makes my mood for the day. If I wake up and it's miserable, it makes me feel miserable. It definitely does something for the soul, doesn't it? A bit of sunshine and
definitely
and whatnot. So yeah, did you have a good weekend, Beth? Did you get up to anything?
I was working for most of it, so I work in a pub, so I didn't really get to. The only time I went outside was when I was taking drinks to other people. So
not quite the same as being sat down and having drinks brought to you.
Were you like looking wistfully, like at a pint? You were like walking outside, and you were like
just walking very slowly, like quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretending it's your point, like.
Yeah. Oh, well, hopefully soon you'll get to be on the other side of the coin and you'll be the one sat there and having people bring you a drink. Sounds like you deserve it after having a weekend of working. So, okay, then let's kick off with what we're going to chat about today. So, like, if you watched any of our Tea and Toast last week, and actually, if you were just anywhere, obviously, the main thing of the news over the weekend was the funeral of the Duke of Edinburgh. And I know we spoke about this, whether we were going to be watching it or not. And did anyone catch any of it?
No.
No, I didn't either. And I said I was going to record it, didn't I? I didn't do that either. I got too caught up in the sunshine and going down the pub. And I was like, damn. I mean, I saw a few like clips. I tell you what, I felt really, really sad. Did you see that sort of image of the Queen just sat there on her own with like her head down?
I did, yeah.
Oh, that made me feel really sad. Like, bless her. That was like, yeah, just made me feel really sad. But then I also saw some clips of Will and Harry having a little chat and walking along, next to each other. So I thought that was really nice to see that, obviously maybe there is some sort of relationship being able to sort of be slightly rebuilt there. Steve the Outlaws just said I was too busy watching paint dry.
Yeah, no, I didn't watch it. I think, okay, so I've got like two schools of thought here. One of them is it's sad when someone dies, and it's sad when someone's husband dies, and it's sad when an old person dies. Very sad. The other part of me just does not care, because it's so like it gets like rammed like down your throat, like the whole thing just gets like rammed, like all the papers, all the TV like stations, channels, all the everything, and it's just like, does it need to be so much all the time?
On Saturday morning, like all the TV channels were doing like pre-build up to the funeral, and I just
like
thought
it's a football game.
Yeah, or I do understand it. Like they've done that when it's been like a royal wedding. There's all that big build up. I'm not so sure it was necessary for the funeral. I think 3:00, and I understand it being on at 3:00 and whatnot. However, did it need to be on from 10 in the morning, a build up? There's only so many times you can say the same things about the same person. Or I think a bit like what we said before, if it has to be on, just dedicate one channel to it. So there's other things going on,
Yeah, also he was quite racist and sexist, like, as a man. Like, and again, like I'm not saying that he shouldn't have had a big few. I mean, I don't really care. Like, fine, have that. But I think that like people are glossing over, like the racist, misogynistic stuff that he said, because of who he is, like because of his like station almost
title,
like, because of his title. And the thing is, if he didn't have that, you would just call him a racist old man. Like, you wouldn't. Do you know what I mean? Like, he wouldn't have any of this, like, oh, but he's done this, no, he's done this. You know what I mean? So I struggle with it, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I felt sad for the Queen. I think it's her birthday today, isn't it? And it's going to be her first birthday without him. And I mean, it's very sad, but it's sad for anyone who loses their husband of many years, isn't it? And I guess that's what it is, really. But I'm sure there's going to be something else that will crop up. Hopefully not any more deaths, but with the royals, there's always going to be something going on that we'll end up speaking about.
Yeah, but to be fair, like, saying that prior to the whole Meghan fiasco, I didn't really, personally in my life, I didn't really hear much about the royals, because I don't really have, like, my family don't really care that much. None of my friends care. So, and then it was like this whole Harry and Meghan thing with this whole, like, the royal family being racist and like all of this, and then obviously with Philip passing away. Prior to that, I hadn't really heard anything, to be honest, about them for a while.
Yeah. So Steve the Outlaw's just put, when a young black person gets murdered by the police, they comb their past, picking up every little morsel, like they once got kicked out of a nursery for crying. But with Philip, we are told we have to be respectful, that someone lost a father, grandfather, husband, etc. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's just, I guess it's just double standards, isn't it?
Yeah,
and that's
100%.
you know, I think we'll always get that. And it's yeah. Well, Bianca's just said, is it sad? I think it is sad. I think you have to also remember that the Queen was married to him for 73 years. So regardless of your thoughts on that, well, yeah, no, I see what Bianca says. Yeah. Well, I actually completely disagree with that. And I think that that's actually quite, what's the word? Not insensitive. It's a little bit, so if someone's lost their husband, regardless of who they are, whether they're so-and-so on the street or the Queen, if you've had a death in your family and you lose your partner of 73 years, that is classed as sad. And if you don't say it's sad, I think it's a little bit disrespectful. Bianca said, I just don't care. And Laurel said, hi. You know, at the end of the day, regardless if you like the royal family or not, someone's died. I think to say I felt sad for the Queen. I don't care much about the Queen, but I just felt sad for her loss, and that's it.
Yeah, anyway. I mean, okay, so I think that on the side of the Queen and for their like children and grandchildren and great grandchildren, it's probably sad, but I don't think that we as like a people are going to be necessarily sad. Do you know what I mean? Like for them it's sad, but for us it's probably not very sad.
But then I think, so let's say that three of us sat here today, and Georgia, you said to me, oh, yesterday my granddad died and he'd been with my nan for 40 years. Oh, so I'm really sorry, that's really sad. Now, if Beth was then to say, well, I don't really care, doesn't matter to me, I don't care. Do you see where I'm coming from with that? A death is sad, regardless of whether you knew the person, liked the person. I think to be disrespectful and say it's not sad, I don't care, I don't actually agree with that, and I think quite wrong.
I think maybe the point that like what Bianca's saying, or like at least the what I'm hearing from it is like she's saying, okay, so if I said that my granddad had died, he wasn't a racist old man. Do you know what I mean? So like so there's like it's taking who the person was as a person and then taking it like from that.
But you didn't know, but you don't know the Duke of Edinburgh in that you know that everything that was reported was correct. You don't know, we don't know him. So although there's been reports that he was racist or he was this or he is that, we don't actually know him to go, well, we're not going to feel sad that he's died because he made a racist comment. Do you see where I'm coming from? I just think it's really like, you know, if we're all supposed to be human beings and let's be kind to each other, let's care. But to then have the attitude, well, no, don't care. I'm not sad about that. Don't care. I think it's really hypocritical. So either we care about each other or we don't. Either we say, oh, I'm really sad. I'm sad that that's happened, or we don't. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I suppose it's tough, isn't it? Because I mean, like with the Prince Philip, he did not help his own case very much. Like, it's not like it was one thing. It's not like he said one thing 50 years ago that was kind of dodgy, and then now, like, in this like woke society, that now we're like, oh, that was a really out of order thing for him to say. Like, he was saying stuff all the time. There wasn't just like stuff that he was like photographed or filmed or that he'd said to someone directly, and then
but I think if you go back to what I said at the beginning, I didn't say I'm really sad that the Duke of Edinburgh has died. I said I feel sad for the Queen because she's lost her partner. Because she's lost her husband. So I'm not sad that the Duke of Edinburgh has died. So that isn't what I said. I said I'm sad for the Queen. She's lost her partner of 73 years.
Yeah.
So, and that's the point I'm trying to make. So that is sad. And that's the point that I made, that if someone I know said, or they've lost someone, I'm sad. I'm sorry for you. And I think that's called being a nice human being. my opinion. Anyway, I think we should move off this topic because it's one of them ones that we're not going to agree on. And hang on, let's just say, I'll just show what. I'm sorry, but not sad. He feels very old. Death is a part of life. Yeah, 100%.
That's true.
And again, I'll just reiterate, the point is, I'm not saying I'm sad that he died. I'm saying I felt sad for the Queen, seeing that photo of her at a funeral. Let's put ourselves, if it was our mum or our grandma sat at the funeral in that circumstance or by yourself, it's just a sad photo. And I think, you know, if any of us are a little bit, got any sort of kindness or caring and, you know, caringness about us, then you feel an element of sadness for her. And I think, you know, that's just as it is. We probably won't agree on that, but let's move on to something else. So today, some really, really great news. And actually, so many people talking about it and so feeling so great. George Floyd. So Derek Chauvin got found guilty, which is really quite a monumental thing to happen. And it's been all over the news. I've seen loads and loads of stuff on Facebook about it. But how did you guys feel when you heard that this morning?
Oh, so me and my partner watched it live. So we were like sat there watching. I mean, we had to wait.
What time was it then?
I couldn't tell you the exact time. But because I mean, I was like sitting in bed.
No, I mean, was it this morning or was it last night? When did it?
It was last night.
Right.
It was last night. Yeah. So we were sat for about half an hour waiting for the actual verdict to sort of like come back, and yeah, he got found guilty on all 3 counts of. I think one of them was like manslaughter, one of them was murder, and one of them was. What was the other one?
Don't know.
Did anyone else see it?
No. I want to say, I don't know. I don't want to.
Do you know what? I'm going to quickly, because okay. So 2nd degree manslaughter, 3rd degree murder, and 2nd degree unintentional murder.
So do we know, like, has anyone got an idea of roughly how long this policeman will get for that? Is it going to be?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I know that that it's Bianca said 40
Bianca's
years.
just said 40 years.
But I mean, really, it should be for life, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. Just put on what Bianca's just said. History was made as a police officer was found guilty of murder. It speaks the message loudly, #Black Lives Matter. At the same time as the verdicts were being read out in Ohio, Black teenager Markia Bryant was shot 4 times in the chest by police after she called them for help. Justice is more than one officer. It is about a systematic change. The fight continues. So I don't really know. Do either of you two know about this lady who was shot? She called them for help and they shot her.
So okay, so I've had like a massive argument with someone this morning over this. I think I mentioned it to you, Jasmin, didn't I, before we went live? So this is okay. So on the news, they had this like, you know, the chief like police officer, whatever, and then he showed the footage of what happened. So the police officers turned to this house. They got out of the car. They saw these people like fighting, and then they were like, "Oh, what's happening? What's happening?" And then one of the girls, I think it was, like fell on their back like that, and this other girl was like kind of swinging for her, and then he got his gun out of the holster, and then this girl kind of charged at this other girl who was like against the car, and then she had like a kitchen knife or something in her other hand, and they shot her like 4 times in the back chest kind of area, and then she slammed into the car, and then she was like on the floor, and then they had like 3 different police officers go over and like, but I mean he was only a few feet from her.
So did she die?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, she died.
So how are the police justifying this? What are they saying?
So they're saying there was a threat to life. They're saying that because she had a knife in her hand, that she was going to stab these girls. but
Oh.
that's what they're saying. But what other people are saying is that the girl who got shot was actually the one who called the police because she was being attacked, and that when they kind of like rolled up, that was her kind of like retaliation, or like, you know, that they were attacking her, so she was like defending herself, but then it went like too far.
But then she was the one that ended up getting shot for it.
Yeah, exactly. So it depends on, you know, like, and this is the thing. So what I've argued with people over this morning is that I feel that police officers should be trained to go into a situation and restrain people until the right sort of mental health checks can be made, until the right teams can show up to diffuse the situation in order to arrest someone safely. Because what I said was, what person in their rational mind in America in this day and age would continue to have a fight with someone while there's 3 police officers with their guns out on them? It's not someone who's in their right mind, is it? Because
no.
I mean, just look at the situation in America. Like, it doesn't make any sense for someone who is in their perfect right mind, rational mind, to put themselves in danger like that, because they know that the police are going to shoot them.
Yeah.
So it's not like logical, is it? It's not like,
no, they're not thinking straight, are they? Otherwise,
No.
they wouldn't put themselves in, like you say, in that situation.
Exactly.
But do you not feel like it's quite sad, actually, because on what should have been a morning of people, you know, with the whole Black Lives Matter movement, I'm feeling actually quite a monumental thing in where the policeman has actually been found guilty. It's sort of been slightly tarnished because now we're looking at another shooting of someone, and which sort of, do you know what I mean? It's like, it's really, really sad
Absolutely.
that such a moment in history has now had an element taken away from it, because now we're talking about someone else has been shot.
I mean,
and I guess
if anything, it just goes to show that actually the whole system is completely flawed, because what the argument on the other side often is that this was one police officer who made a mistake, so on and so forth. But then after you have the first person who gets killed, the second, third, fourth, fifth, and the numbers just keep on going higher, the numbers just keep on increasing, which goes to show that it's not just one police officer, because it's happening all over America. And on this day, where it should have been a massive celebration of the fact that, you know, this police officer was actually going to have to pay his dues for having murdered a black man. Instead, they're not, it's just happened again. Like, literally in the same moment, it has happened yet again, that a black person has been murdered by the police when they should have been, you know, restrained or dealt with in a different way. So, this whole system needs to get torn down and reshaped. And I definitely think they need to defund the police and... I was about to swear. Defund the police and actually train them to deal with people who are drug users, deal with people who are not in the right mental space, because you can't murder someone because they're a drug user. It just even if you know someone is guilty for committing a crime, police aren't just allowed to go around shooting people. Even if they see it, they're not allowed to just murder you. They're supposed to arrest you, take you into custody so you can be processed.
Well, this is the problem, isn't it? And I don't know the exact story, but I remember hearing something, I think it was last week on the news, and I don't know where it was, and I don't know, you guys might be able to help me on this. I think it was a policewoman thought she was pulling out her taser, but pulled out a gun. So where was that in America as well?
Yeah, of course it was, because you know, like okay, so the thing is, this woman, I'm going to get so animated in this conversation, I can already tell. So this woman was a 25-year veteran of the police force. And to rub salt into the wounds of this situation, apparently she actually trains people with how to use a taser properly. Apparently she teaches people how to do this stuff, right?
But she made the mistake.
But she made the mistake of mistaking her
gun
firearm
for a taser.
for a taser, and yeah, then they're like, oh, it was just a mistake, and I'm like, does this not just illustrate how messed up things are, in America in particular, because that's where we're talking about at the moment, that you even could, you have several things on your person to the point where you're saying, I have so many gun-shaped things on my body that I couldn't possibly figure out which one discharges, a volt of electricity versus what was going to shoot you to death.
I know, it's crazy. Beth, Bianca just said, what are you thinking?
I personally, I think the gun laws and things like that, I think guns is just a massive problem, and I really don't like that, and I think nobody should be allowed to have a gun. That's just my personal.
But do you think that it would include the police force? You just think guns should just be completely?
Yeah.
No, I don't disagree. It's obviously a massive problem, and it just, we're allowing, I say we, I don't mean, but the system is allowing, the system is allowing people to be in charge of firearms who quite evidently shouldn't be. How do we change that? How does, because America's obviously got such different gun laws to us. How does that ever get changed? How do we ever stop police shooting people? I don't know.
Yeah, it's correct. Yeah, sorry, Beth. I realised that that I've just been like shouting about this stuff and not really let you have a word in edgewise. But yeah, so there's an issue with any authoritative system, both in America and also here. And obviously in the UK, while we don't have our officers aren't armed and we don't have guns in the same way and this, that and the other, there's still a massive problem of institutionalized racism. So do you remember we spoke about a few weeks ago, I think it was, Boris Johnson did this
what, we've spoken about Boris Johnson before?
Yeah. Boris Johnson had this report done where it said that there was now no longer no institutionalized racism in the UK, which is just let's park that to the side for a second. But yeah, so even though apparently there is none, there clearly is a lot of institutionalized racism both here and in America. So so here's the thing, how do we, because these systems have been around for so long, I think that what people are saying on the other side of it is they're saying, this is such a big system that how can you stop everything in order to fix it? Do you know what I mean? Because police still need to be able to police all the time. So what Bianca said is that we must defund the police, which I think is true. And that doesn't mean taking away all the money from the police. It just means being more strict as to what police can spend their money on, is what I think, and having less money. So in America, for instance, they can't have what are they, assault rifles or something like that. That's what they spend their money on. It's assault rifles. And it's you're not going to encourage people to use guns safely if you're giving everyone a machine gun to walk around with on their streets. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. It's a bit of a mess, really, isn't it? When you look at it, and it just seems that every time, the one sort of, the George Floyd thing. Let's start with that, for example. That happens. Obviously, the big Black Lives Matter, I think that was actually started from the George Floyd incident, wasn't it? And here we are, had a great result, and that the police officer got found guilty. But there's so many other ones that we're even just talking about now. I don't know. I don't remember a time when you don't at least once a week wake up to the news and there's some sort of incident. It's scary. It's really scary, I think. I mean, gosh, I'm just glad I don't live in America, because I think that would be even worse. But then it's like Bianca said a minute ago, in the UK, the police kill people in custody. We don't hear about that as much, do we? We don't hear so often about things like that. It's more what's going on in America and whatnot. But yeah, it's a massive subject, and I think one that we could probably speak about for a very long time.
What do you think, Beth?
I feel like everything that you've said I agree with. I feel like it's something that's really, I don't know, I just find it so difficult to talk about. I feel like, for me in particular, I just feel like it's so hard, because some of the stuff, I feel like I don't want to be like, yeah, I think this and I think that and I think this, when it's not something that I've personally experienced. Because I feel like, how can I relate to this situation that so many people are feeling when I haven't even seen or felt the half of it? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that totally makes. I totally see where you're coming from, but I also think that okay, so my opinion is, as a white person, that I can't say, you know, X, Y, Z about the experiences of people of color, because obviously I'm not. But at the same time, if I do have a platform and I do have a voice, then I feel personally that like it's my responsibility to make sure that we do talk about these things, and that, say, if I'm also talking to other white people that and people who might not even know what's happening, then if I do know more because I've read this or I've seen that, then I think it helps to kind of educate, and to all the people who are listening who may not have even heard about this thing that happened last night, then they might go, oh, I'm going to go look into that, you know, like I'm going to go see what's happening.
Yeah, definitely.
And I guess, yeah, and then it's about sort of educating ourselves a bit more, isn't it? I'm a bit rubbish, to be honest. I never really know that much in depth about these sort of things, because I tend to catch a bit on the news in the morning, you know, as you're getting the kids ready for school and whatnot, and I'll hear a bit, and, you know, a few snippets in the car. And it's great sometimes having these chats with you guys, and, you know, because I think sometimes you two are a lot more well read and informed than what I am. But then, you know, people watching us today, like you say, may not have even heard of this thing that happened this morning at the same time as the George Floyd verdict. And yeah, it's, you know, and it's food for thought, gives us all a chance to go away and do a bit of our own research and come to our own opinions on it, and our own views on it. And which I think is really important, because just because one of us three here may have an opinion on something doesn't mean we're not always going to have the same views, which has been evident over the times of tea and toast, and people watching us won't have either. But just giving that little bit more of knowledge allows us to go and sort of learn a bit more and find out a bit more and educate ourselves, which I do think is really important. So, okay, let's leave that there then. I'm sure this topic is going to be something that is going to be spoken about many more times on Tea and Toast, because obviously it is a massive issue, and it's one that people feel quite strongly about, and rightly so, I think so. So we will come back onto it on another day. So before we go on to our actual topic of today, something that we need to talk about is our Captain Tom challenge. It's Captain Tom 100 challenge. So it was about this time last year when the brilliant Captain Tom started doing the laps of his garden, wasn't it? I can't actually believe that was like a year ago. It's actually crazy. So yeah, Captain Tom started doing the laps of his garden, and it ended up raising millions. And what did he? 34 million in the end, something like that, I think. Was it? Yeah. And like for the NHS, which was just absolutely amazing. And what they're doing is, this is like a nationwide thing. It's called the Captain Tom 100 challenge, and they're asking people to do something 100 times to sort of commemorate Captain Tom, and also if you want to do fundraising in addition, you can. So at the Yard, we've decided we're going to take part in the Captain Tom challenge, and we were sat yesterday, weren't we, Georgia, trying to think, what can we do 100 times to take part in this challenge? Various things come up. I mean, I'd have been up for 100 cocktails, to be honest, or 100 sweets, but that didn't seem to go down too well with everyone, did it? So what we've decided we're going to do at the Yard, and we're going to get the whole team involved. We want you guys watching to get involved. We want as many people as possible. to get involved. So what we're going to do, if you have ever seen any of us out and about doing bits and bobs, if you've walked past the yard, our thing that we do at the yard is leaving chalk drawings, chalk writings wherever we've been. So when our Luke is out doing his detached work, he always chalks. So you could be walking around the town centre and you'll just see some random chalking on the floor, like hashtag CCY, hashtag detached work, and that will be Luke where he's been out doing his work. We've been doing chalking outside our building at 62 The Yard. We had hopscotch out there last week, didn't we? And we've had a few bits and bobs chalked out there. So we're going to do 100 chalk drawings, photos, writing, whatever you want to do. So anywhere you go, whether it's in your back garden, whether you're going on a walk, whether Georgia's going to the pier at Sywell, take some chalk if you've got some, draw a little picture, take a photo and send it in to us. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a big collage of our 100 photos of different chalk drawings. And that's going to be our 100 challenge. So it actually starts, it's on the weekend of the 30th. So next Friday, it's for that weekend. But you know, you can take if you're going somewhere this weekend and think, oh, that'd be a fantastic place to chalk, take some chalk and do it this weekend and send it in the photo. Doesn't matter if it's a bit early. And if you're in town next Friday on Gold Street, we'll be outside the yard doing some chalking too. So if you fancy coming down and joining in with us and doing a bit of chalking, please do come along. But I think it'll be really nice. It's a nice little thing to do, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like a really, really good idea. And everyone can get involved, you know, the whole family. So if you are a parent and you've got some little ones, you might ask them to start like chalking all over the shop. And obviously it can wash off, so don't need to panic.
Yeah, you're not going to get in trouble. So I'm going to get my kids to do some chalking this weekend. Yeah, it doesn't matter what it is. It can literally be anything. And it'll just be a lovely little collage. And then they'll go up on our social media. And if you send some in, we can tag you in them to show that you've been part of the Captain Tom 100 challenge, which I think is a nice little way of remembering him. Okay, so that's that. So let's go on to our actual topic of the day, which is food waste. Georgia, have we got a little video?
Yes, so I'm just setting this up now.
Awesome.
There we go. Cool. I'll press play if everyone's ready.
Yeah, we're ready.
Food waste. Hundreds of tons of it here at the largest food collection site in London. And yet this isn't even 1% of what we waste on a daily basis. Well, this is the latest delivery they've had here. This is about 6 tons of food waste. They'll get 30 deliveries just like this one every single day. And admittedly, a lot of the food is rotten and really smells bad. But some of this food actually looks okay to eat. Here, everything you see is separated out and recycled, producing gas, electricity and fertilizer, which can then be shipped out for a profit. Paul, what's inside these?
So this is known as an anaerobic digestion tank. And inside here is the digestate material, which is the end product for after the food goes through our process. And it's used as a rich fertiliser for farms in Surrey.
But Paul says he can't understand why more London boroughs don't collect and recycle such valuable material.
Of the 33 local authorities in London, only about 18 of them are actually segregating their food waste and offering a segregated food waste service to their customers. And that compares to cities like Milan, where they introduced a separated food waste collection service for their residents, and their recycling rates went up from about 35% to over 56% within a couple of years.
Got the 2 salads? Across town in Euston, and they do understand the value of food waste. Using smart technology, they've cut it by 70%. It's a bit like a supermarket self-checkout. All the waste is weighed. The only thing they have to do is tell the computer what type of food it is.
In this kitchen at the Wellcome Trust, we've reduced food waste by 70%, preventing nearly 4.5 tons per year of food waste from being thrown away.
In the capital, £2 billion worth of valuable food waste like this ends up in landfill each year. The technology exists. It now needs the appetite to match. Dan Friedman, BBC London News.
Wow.
So yeah, what did you guys think of that?
I'm actually shocked at the amount of food waste. I mean, obviously I knew there is a lot of food waste, but that was actually quite shocking. And in that some of that fruit actually looked okay. Just seems such a waste, doesn't it? When there's people struggling to feed themselves and, you know, perhaps feed their children, it's really quite sad. Sophia!
Sophia!
Oh,
Hi.
I got here.
Oh, you got the internet working then?
How are we doing, guys?
Good, thanks. You?
Yeah, not too bad. I've been busying around this morning. So
Have
I've already
you?
got about 3,000 steps in. Boom.
Oh, well done. We were just quickly talking about food waste, weren't we?
Sorry,
Yeah,
what was that, Jasmin?
We were just talking about food waste. We just watched. Georgia just put a little clip on of was it in London, about the amount of food waste that they have there, and we're just sort of saying it's actually quite shocking how much food does go to waste. What did you think, Beth? It was a lot, wasn't it?
I think as well, you don't like, I don't know whether you've seen in some supermarkets, they do like ugly fruit and veg.
Yeah, what, like wonky.
Yeah. So I think that like supermarkets who don't want to sell those wonky fruit and veg, I feel like that would contribute to so much of that wastage, because they don't want to sell it because it's not like a desirable banana. I think just buying that wonky fruit and veg is like, it's perfectly fine just because it's an odd shape.
Yeah,
I think that must contribute so much to a lot of the waste that is happening.
It sounds so stupid, doesn't it? Like, oh, you don't want to sell the wonky banana. Like, it's not a desirable banana. Like, it just sounds so silly. You're gonna eat it. You're not gonna like pose with it for like a photo shoot or anything like that. Like, it's not a beauty competition, is it?
Oh no, it's actually quite sad though, the amount of waste. And like we were just saying, with people struggling to put meals on the table and, you know, and things like that, it seems actually quite ridiculous that so much is going to waste. I do know like some of the bigger companies like Tesco's and Waitrose and, you know, other supermarkets are also available. They do, if their stuff's going to date, they donate it, don't they, to different organisations, and which I think is really good. That does help with sort of food waste. But there's obviously a lot more that probably needs to and could be done.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like you said, like with I think a lot of that food waste gets taken up by food banks as well. And there's also, just from my experience, there's kind of for some things, I don't know, I think I've told you about this before, Jasmin, there's a shop just off Gold Street, which is the Best Before Gone shop. So it seems that technically it's obviously past like a sell-in by date, but the food is actually okay. Obviously, the actual sort of the date of consumption is fine. And it's maybe it's changing maybe a mentality around that as well. That just because something has a date on it doesn't mean it automatically goes off. It's not like, I don't know, I can't think of an analogy for that.
No, definitely. Maybe there needs to be a few more of those sort of shops around, because I do think sometimes, you know, like these sell-by dates and use before date, well, the sell-by date, like you say, doesn't mean then you can't, it's not good to eat, but a lot of people see that and think, oh, I don't need that anymore, I can't have that. And I know some people who are actually really, really sort of anal about dates on things. And I'm like, come on, if it, you know, understand some things, you probably wouldn't want to risk a bit of fish or, you know, but other things would be absolutely fine. So maybe it's more about re-educating as well with food waste.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's certain things that like I wouldn't. Yeah, there's certain things that I wouldn't risk, like milk or like yogurt, basically like dairy products. I don't think I'd risk it. But I think like with fruit and that, like you can physically see whether it's, you know,
fruit
if it's not moldy, it's
Yeah.
probably all right.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Do any of you have one of those brown little boxes that you put your food waste in?
No.
No, I
No, I
haven't.
don't actually.
No.
Well, loads of people
They're
on my
not big enough either because they're only
No,
about,
they're about that
they're only
big.
small, aren't they?
Loads of people on my street have got one, but when we moved into this house, we never got given one. So we haven't got one. I mean, I'm sure there's a way I could probably ask for one. I should do really, but I haven't. But I think as well, that's if a lot of people were using those sort of things, because I think, like you say, I think they make them little because maybe it's more of a psychological thing. You realise how much food you're chucking away. When you chuck it in a big bin, you don't do you know what I mean? So maybe there's some sort of psychological thing with that. I don't know. I always wondered why they're so small. Who knows? But yeah, I definitely think that we all probably need to do a bit more to reduce our food waste. It does my head in when the kids waste so much food. That really annoys me. But I think that's just a thing with most families with children. It's about educating them. I mean, the amount of times I say to them, "Come on, you can't waste food. There's people starving," So it's one of those ones, isn't it? Okay, so I think just while Sophia's come on to join us this morning, because we needed to have the quick chat about this whole football fiasco, because Georgia and I were speaking about it yesterday. Like, I've heard what's going on. I haven't got a clue what it all means. Mm-hmm. Georgia was trying to slightly explain it to me yesterday, so I was just starting to understand it a little bit, and then I woke up this morning, and then I know. And then my husband's like, "Oh yeah, they've all pulled out now." I was like, "Well, it was only on Sunday that they said they were doing it." So, Sophia, explain to us people who do not understand it. What's gone on?
Explain it to us like we're 5.
Okay. So on Sunday, like you said, Jasmin, there was an announcement made in the evening that there was going to be a new European Super League, which only certain teams from across Europe, including 6 clubs from the UK, from the Premiership, which is kind of like the top tier here, that they were going to be invited to a Super League where they would play each other, but they couldn't be... Obviously, somebody could win it, but nobody could be kicked out of it. So at the moment, the way football works is there's so many teams in a league. So in the Premier League, there's 20. But every year, 3 of those teams get relegated. So they go down to a lower league. Yeah. And obviously then different people win it. And when you win it, you kind of get different competitions then you can enter. So the top 6 in the UK... at the moment, kind of one part of the issues that people have had are not the top 6 teams in the Premier League.
So who made that decision? Who went, these are the top 6 teams?
So it was done, my understanding is that it was done financially. So the top 6 teams are financially the richest. Although also some debate about that, because obviously the way... football works is there's obviously debts and things like that, and obviously the last year everything's been impacted. There's those fans up until a match on Sunday where they had I think they had a couple of thousand. And that's kind of how that's been determined. But obviously a lot of fans who are not in that top 6 were a bit like, hey, how come we're not invited? So there's kind of that, it's like kind of being invited to your mate's party. Oh, why am I not invited?
Yeah.
What is that? The top 6 friends? What?
Yeah.
Kind of like that analogy. There was that element to it. There's also kind of the element of, is this going to ruin the football? Is it going to ruin the game? And in terms of, if you've just got those teams playing each other, what does that mean then for the Premier League and other lower leagues as well? And that sort of impact on that. So there's kind of a lot of uproar about it. Then this morning, as you saw, not all the teams have pulled out. All the UK teams have pulled out. But actually, there's still teams in Europe that are still technically, at the moment, part of this league, which means there's 4 teams, which is really bizarre. So all the UK teams have gone, you know what, oh yeah, we were wrong, because fans were very upset about it.
Yeah, there was like uproar, wasn't there?
Absolutely. And it's really interesting, kind of the debate that's now been sparked by that, because there is a lot of money in football. Can you see Laurel?
Yeah, I was just about to say, Laurel, you could at least give us a wave on your way past. Blimey.
She's trying to be sneaky. Don't think she understands. We have the camera today, especially not talking about football. But yeah, I think what that sparked now is the fact that is the issue the fact that those teams were invited, or is the issue the amount of money that's in football? And that sparked a lot of debate. And in our Discord earlier, I posted a little thing there. There's a footballer who used to play for Liverpool called John Barnes.
Yeah, he was on Good Morning Britain today.
Oh, was it? Okay, he was also on BBC. But actually, the way he described it, it's actually not technically. This has sparked a conversation around the money in football, because it is kind of what he was saying, that actually it is kind of all the Super League was founded in money. It's the way football can make more money. And that's been a debate for many years, how much money in football, how much footballers get paid. He was also talking about a wage cap for players, which you have that in rugby, I believe. And I think actually maybe that's something that does spark that. And it's kind of like, did the fans have power in actually making that decision? Is that the impact that's happened? Or is it just kind of the status quo going back to normal? There's kind of a lot of conversations around that, which is kind of like, if you're not into football, it's kind of like, what are everybody banging on about?
That's how I was. I was like, what? Georgia, what did you want to say?
Where does the money come from?
This is what we were saying yesterday. So I was like, so where does this 350 million or whatever, where's this money? Who's putting this money up?
So every football club is owned by an owner, and it's that money stems from them, but also then the money that the football club makes. So that would be obviously sales of tickets, season tickets, merchandise, that sort of thing. And also it's then maybe sponsorship. They'll get so much money from the leagues that they're in. So if you're in the Premier League, you get so many million for being in the league.
Yeah.
If you go further up in a competition, you get more money. So there's a lot of money involved.
Yeah. I mean, I personally think, my opinion is that footballers are paid an obscene amount of money. It's too much. I honestly think it's too much. I don't care how good a footballer they are. It's ridiculous. I think it's got out of control. And I think that needs to be reined in, because it's obscene, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think also something that kind of, again, going back to what sort of John Barnes said on the BBC and obviously Good Morning Britain, is that those fans who have sort of said like, oh, we don't want this to happen, obviously now it's happened, are those fans and those who have protested? Obviously there was a match last night. Fans were protesting outside Stamford Bridge, which is Chelsea's ground. Are those fans going to be able to get tickets? Like, are they going to kind of have something against them now? Also, it's the affordability. If they obviously have lost money by not being in this league, how is that going to affect it? And I think there's a lot of implications for football. I personally think there also should be an impact on what people can charge for football matches, because again, it can be very expensive. It's not affordable for everybody.
No.
Some tickets, you're talking £35-40 a ticket. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
For 90 minutes,
No.
that's a lot of
That's
money.
a hell of a lot, considering how many people they have in like stadiums and that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I know as a Leicester fan, there's 32,000 seats. Yeah. Can you imagine 35 quid a ticket? Obviously, not everybody's paying that because there's children's tickets, that sort of thing. Some people might be paying more because they're doing VIP, that sort of thing.
Yeah. It is a lot of money. It's not just that as well, because it's their football kits as well. So because obviously my son Henry, my husband and Henry are Everton supporters, and every year for his birthday he gets the new Everton kit. And obviously when he was sort of like 4, 5, 6, it was reasonable sort of price. But now he's gone into like large boys. Oh, it's ridiculous for the whole kit. You're talking about 70 quid for a kit that's from when he's been like 8, 9 and 10. Like he's going to wear for a year, then it's too small for him. I think it's absolutely disgusting. I know.
Yeah.
Just
stop the madness.
It's crazy, isn't it? Absolutely crazy.
What is happening? Okay,
Yeah,
so
I haven't bought a football shirt in years. The last one I bought it was on sale.
Yeah,
I
we
bought
all
the previous season.
Yeah, wait till the end of the season and then go.
No, do you know my little trick? Hi, Luke. My little trick is when Sam's mum and dad say, "What does Henry want for his birthday this year?" I say, "Oh, he'd love the new Everton kit." They buy him it every year now, so I don't have to fork out for it. So it works out perfect, actually. But I hope they, hopefully they don't want to.
Expensive. I think the average for an adult just for a shirt is about £50.
Yeah, it's bonkers.
I really don't get it. Like, so my dad is like kind of into his football, but he's not like a he's not like he's not like a proper like blokey bloke football like all that. He just likes watching.
Is that how football blokes go? Or...
Well, yeah, like they got the cotton swagger.
What about football girls, Georgia? I don't do that.
They do the same thing. I don't know, Sophia. Maybe you've just not looked at yourself for a while, but I'm telling you, when you walk into the yard, when you walk into the yard, I go, "You're right, Sophia," and you go, "All right, I'm still watching the football. I'm still watching the football." Yeah, so I don't get it. So my dad likes watching football. I think my mum watches it with him, like maybe begrudgingly a little bit, but like I don't, because it football will never end. Like it just goes on forever. Like it will never. So I don't understand the. So is the attraction like who's going to win this year at the competition?
Well, I think in the Premier League, it's like, from what my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, Sophia. So from like Sam, he's had to get used to a lot of losing because he's an Everton supporter. But it's in the Premier League, there's always that, what position everyone's going to take and who's the top, however many teams. I mean, like Sam has his own like little, what's it called when like men have their own football? He has to check they do their own. No, fantasy football. So like he has to check on the weekends. He has to do his fantasy football, and if we're watching something and someone scores, he's like, "Yes," and I'm like, "You don't support them?" He went, "No, I just put them in my fantasy football team," and I'm like, "What?" Honestly, it's beyond me. It's beyond me. Yeah, exactly that. It's all about the points.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think obviously the last few years with football, there's kind of this. The phrase top six has been thrown around a lot over the last few days. But those top six teams are changing. So if you looked at the Premier League at the moment, the top six that were invited to that league, 3 of them were in the top 6. So technically, Leicester, my beloved Leicester City, are 3rd at the moment.
Oh, you. But they weren't invited.
We weren't invited, no. West Ham United, they're 4th. They weren't invited.
That's my dad's team, West Ham, and my dad is a Cockney geezer.
You can see that. I've seen your dad. I've never seen him do that.
No, back in the old days, Sophia. Back in the old days when he was a bit more of a spring chicken, he was all over that.
Look, it's very subtle sometimes. Sometimes it's almost like you can't see it. But I can, and that's that's the main thing.
Every time I see you now, that's what I'm going to do, Georgia.
Oh, so do you think this whole
conversation?
Yeah, do you think this whole sort of debate? Because like when I saw on the news this morning and said, "Oh, they've all pulled out now," I said to Sam, "Oh, for God's sake!" I said, "Why have they done this?" And he's like, "This is always going to happen. This is going to keep happening. It's for publicity. It's all about money. This will happen again. This whole." I'm like, "Oh, really?" It's just...
a lot of it is. It's about money. The biggest thing is, and that's kind of a lot of people will describe that as it's ruined the game.
Yeah, I've heard that said a lot. Yeah,
and there's a lot of money. And I think if you strip that back, and I think there will be conversations around wages. You don't need to be paid an obscene amount
just to kick a ball around.
Yeah, absolutely. I was talking to a friend of mine about it, and it's also just how much players are worth. Leicester City had a player who we sold for 80 million. 80.
That's absolutely bonkers.
It's bonkers money. Honestly. And that is insane. That's the most expensive defender ever to be sold.
It also kind of like weirds me out a little bit, like just the language. Like you sold a
Yeah, I
player,
know. It's
like you
kind of like
sold
putting
a
a price on a
man.
person. I know. Yeah, it's a bit of a strange.
Yeah.
It is a strange language.
It was a little bit odd. And also I like, so what I do like, so because I like listening to people, I love it when football fans say we. They say like, oh, we sold, and that also makes me laugh as well. Like we sold for 80
Oh,
million.
yeah.
Yeah.
You're gonna chuck
I
any
am
of those
the
millions
manager.
my way?
I'm the manager that doesn't get paid. That is what I am, Georgia.
Literally, Sam will come home from work. He'll go to Henry. Oh, we just bought so and so. We paid da 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 da, and they're all like, yeah. And now they're like that. They are, they are the backbones of Everton. Basically, they're in control of these sales, and honestly, and the biggest mistake you can ever say to someone who's really into football, and I do it quite a lot just to annoy Sam and Henry. I'm like, it's just a game. It's just a ball on a pitch. You're just kicking a ball. Wow.
Whoa.
If you want to get your head bitten off, or if you just really want to annoy someone, it's just a game. So why are you getting so upset over it?
It is just a game, though. At the end of the day, it is. I agree with you. It is. There are bigger things in the world.
There are. In the bigger picture, it's a very small thing, isn't it? But
Absolutely.
it's for these some people, they live and breathe. This is their thing, football, don't they?
Yeah.
It's their everything.
Community. It's a different part. It's a community, the football community.
Yeah.
They do come together.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you know what? I actually quite liken it to like religion in some senses, because it's like this thing that you all collectively like believe in, and people outside of it may not understand it, but for you it's like your community, it's like people that you hang out with, you've got something in common with those people. You can come together.
They're always praying for their team to win.
Culture,
they're always playing. Yeah, it's culture. So I actually quite like it. Like, I like listening to people, because I like it when people have passions and when they feel really, really strongly about something, because you can tell, can't you, when someone really feels strongly about it. So I actually quite like, even though I don't understand it, like, I like listening about it. So.
I think it's a positive thing that it's kind of a way people can connect to each other as well. So I always like, when I find out somebody likes football, because and not everybody expects it from me. They're like, you're the crafty person. She's
crafty and she likes football. That doesn't go together.
And I just like having that discussion with people. And it doesn't matter who your team is. It's kind of talking about the sport. It's talking about, maybe it's talking about your specific team, and just kind of just general. I think that's a way for people to connect. In a different way. I think it's very interesting, and I hope it does actually spark some change in the game as well. One of the concerns was the impact it would have on lower league teams as well. Because things like there's a competition called the FA Cup, which is every single team who is in a league or non-league. So you have a team that's like, I'm trying to think of one. Fleetwood Town, which you probably can get a couple of hundred people at their ground. It's probably like, and it's a different type of football. Actually, if they get somebody from the Premier League, money comes into their club as well.
Their club, definitely.
It's very interesting in terms of that. If you took the football out of it, Jasmin, just a debate about it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Wow. Perhaps we'll have to. Sophia's now going to be our guest speaker on all football. So if there's anything that comes up in the news and we need to talk about it, we're going to have to get Sophia in, because she's the fountain of all knowledge at the Yard on football. Don't let Luke hear me say that, though, because he might be offended.
No, right. He's not.
Oh God! Right. Well, thanks so much for telling us all about that, Sophia. That was I've understood it a bit more today from you, and watch this space, I guess, and see what goes on.
Where the story continues. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. All right then, ladies, on that note, I think it's time for us to call it a morning. And thank you for a great chat this morning. Hope you all have a great rest of the day. If you're watching us today and you fancy joining in tomorrow, we've got Teens Host at 10:30 again, talking about a different range of things, see what goes on in the news today, and tonight, and yeah, we'll have a chat. If you want to come on and join us on the panel, you can just email us at theyard@communitycourtyard.org or drop us a message down below or on any social media. But have a great day, guys. Enjoy, and I'll see you all soon. See you later.
Bye, everyone.